that dude's a deadbeat. No, right? One of the Ashton and Hannah's mom.
We're gonna start back.
Well, welcome back. Praises. Yeshua. Blessings. I forgot your podcast intro, but I would totally use it right now. Thanks for coming back. You didn't have to. Well, yes, you did. But thanks for coming back anyway. So we'll switch gears here tonight. So I shared a little bit with you, whether that was something you enjoyed or not. Cool. You can talk about it on Underground later. Put it in the course comments at the end of the year. But listen, I just want to talk to you guys tonight. So what do you got? You got any questions? I know you usually do like a Q&A sort of this section of the evening. So anything, run the gamut. I got time if you got time. So is there anything you want to ask me? You want to know about me, my family, our ministry, anything?
When you started teaching and felt like you wanted to teach, what was it that you felt like that was God was?
So, man, So when I came back to Gateway, when I came back to work at Gateway as the admissions director, I had not finished my undergrad yet. So like when I left Urshan, or when I left Gateway, I was, I think, 2 or 3 classes short because I goofed off. I failed some classes. This might be a FERPA violation, I don't know, but I had like a 2.2 GPA or something like that. It was not good. In fact, when we were coming up with when we were transitioning from Gateway to Urshan, I was a part of the transition committee, and I'm the only surviving administrator from Gateway to now. Everybody else, actually, Brother McClintock came back. So, but I was really the only surviving administrator still here. So I was on that transition committee. And when I was working with Dr. Littles to come up with the academic criteria to be able to get into school, my GPA wouldn't have cut it. So I was not a great student. And you'd think you'd have to be a good student to be a good teacher, right? There's something about education. So I hadn't even finished my undergrad. And, I hoped that I was going to teach. I was very passionate about youth ministry. I was a youth pastor for a little over 3 years and had done stuff obviously at the local church, but I was doing stuff on the district level. I was a sectional guy. I was doing stuff nationally with the GYD at the time. It's Youth Ministries now. But I was helping them do a number of different projects. And so I was very passionate about youth ministry. And so that's what I wanted to teach, was youth ministry. And so I think I came in April and came around, did that first semester, the summer, and then that first semester. And Mark Blackburn, the vice president at the time, said, Dave, you really need to finish your undergrad. I had gone back to school. I'd actually gone back to school to be a teacher at community college. I'd done a few other different things. I'd gone for a leadership degree somewhere else, and none of that ever panned out. But I was able to bring some of those things in to help me finish my degree. And then I did 2 independent studies that helped me finish my degree. He said, Dave, we want you to finish your degree because we might want you to teach or whatever. And I was like, okay, awesome. Now we're getting into it, And so I really wanted to do a master's degree in youth ministry. Like, nobody had one in the organization. I thought I could be like the cool authority on youth ministry, all that sort of stuff. And so anyway, it didn't pan out. That didn't pan out. So I did go back to school and I did get a master's degree. But teaching, after I finished my undergrad stuff, they allowed me to teach, which now we wouldn't because I didn't have a master's degree, but at that time, wiggle room because we weren't accredited. So Sister Scott, Joyce Scott, was a staple at Gateway. She had been there for a number of years. She was the registrar, and she stuck it to me. She gave me my first course as a professor, my first course, 8 a.m., 3 hours in a row. And it was cool. She loved me, actually, Brother Cressman. I was one of her favorite people, but she was trial by fire. But I was really passionate about youth ministry, and that's what I wanted to teach. That was my sweet spot. That was what I'd been trained, or that was my experience was, all that sort of stuff. So that's what I was really passionate about teaching, was youth ministry. And so I taught foundations of youth ministries, methods of youth ministries, and then foundations and methods of youth ministries became one class. And I taught some adolescent development stuff and a few other sort of classes in between, and absolutely loved doing that. And it was in some incredible moments where, sharing passion and just the things that would happen in those classes were incredible. But that's what I was passionate about. So maybe I made a mistake because I got my master's degree in a totally different discipline. So I have a master's in human services, right? So with a concentration in executive leadership. So that sounds better when you add the concentration. So I was, that was my degree. Well, as we were looking to be accredited and things like that, I had to do more teaching where I was qualified in terms of education. So I ended up leaving those youth ministry classes behind, which in terms of my academic teaching career is the saddest thing for me. Because I teach things now, don't let this get back to Brother Runk or anybody, okay? But I teach things now like project management. What else? Marketing. And for when we transitioned to Urshan, I was teaching things like group dynamics, the leader and group performance, the leader as mentor and coach, cool leadership classes that really I'm very passionate about leadership. And then now I'm teaching marketing and project management, which are awesome. And I love managing projects, and I love marketing, but they're not life-changing. You don't get into a class and I've yet to have the power of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, fall when I'm talking about, anything actually at all in class. I can't, even when you pray at the start of the class, I try to milk that for all it's worth because I know I'm going on to something else like, okay, guys, this is the industry terms that you need to put in your glossary. And it's just the worst, right? So I say that, Sky, to say this: make sure that if you're getting a degree in something and you're going to teach it, make sure it's something you're passionate about. I really wish I'd been able to go back and get that degree in youth ministries or something ministry related, so I can be. That's why I love doing these classes for Brother Cressman, because this is my one shot. This is like my chance. This is my moment. Own it. Don't ever let it go. Mom spaghetti. So, did that answer anywhere near your question, Sky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like God put a big desire in your heart to teach, or did it just kind of work out for you?
I was really stoked to do it. I really wanted to be a teacher, and I felt when I was younger, when I was in Bible college, getting out of Bible college, I really felt, that was something I'd be good at. I loved teaching as a youth pastor, like Wednesday nights, teaching in series. How I did Wednesday nights was different than how a lot of people were doing it Wednesday nights at that time. Now it's more commonplace, to teach in series and things like that. But I really had done things very different as a youth pastor. And so I was really stoked to be able to do things that way. And I was very passionate about it. I feel called to be a teacher, but not a teacher. Like I feel called to instruct and make investment in students. I don't feel called to create assessments and grade papers and make PowerPoints and stuff like that. So, which you have to do to be a teacher. But the investment in the instruction, in the discussion about, things we're talking about, how those things are applicable and practical, and the philosophy behind them are incredible. Man, Weston's in this class, bro. I love our class, man. It is awesome. Don't let anybody tell you different on this video recorded thing tonight. But so it can be a little bit challenging, if you're not passionate about those things. So love to teach, love to be a teacher, love to make those investments. You have to make sure you got it figured out what you're going to do, because you don't want to get pigeonholed and be stuck doing it. So cool. Cool. Oh man.
More business related.
Okay, hit me.
So I feel like there's like a stigma on a lot of like apostolics regarding that you can't like have money and also like you follow a ministry, right? How did you balance the ministry aspect of your life, the business aspect? And then do you think those things like work together, like your ministry with your calling?
Okay. When you say business aspect, are you talking about like Clark Parker?
Yeah, like
yes. Okay.
like,
So I had always, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to own my own business. I don't know why. Now that I'm in business, I don't know why. But I don't know what it was, but I always wanted to own my own business. And I always did. Didn't really know what, if you're like a really cool engineer and you engineer a product and like you can sell that thing, awesome. I didn't know what I could monetize, what I could make money on as a businessman. And I don't even really like coffee. Like I'm a social drinker. Like if we're all hanging out doing it, I'll do a cold brew. Cool. I'll make a latte. Right. But I'm not like, never was like hit the Starbucks every morning, or my wife makes a cup of coffee every morning. I'll be all right if I don't. But coffee makes money in this day and age. So that was, I never, one thing about me is that just because I don't know how to do something, that doesn't stop me. Never does. If I don't know how to do it, I'll figure that joker out. With very few exceptions. I was working on a motorcycle project one time, and I didn't want to be the guy that welded the frame together, because at 60 miles an hour, it can be dangerous. And now that I think about it, our current state. But business, how do I balance those two things? I think a better question is, why did I start a business? Why did I start? And this may get us there. So I launched it's been a couple years ago. We only did it twice, and I wish we'd bring it back, but I launched this conference called Live Less Ordinary. And we did it 2 years, and you can come to my office, or actually at Clark Parker, there's some of the books that we wrote for the conference. You can check out the EPs that we recorded for the conference on like Spotify or something like that. But so I'm teaching organizational leadership classes. I'm working with young adults all the time. I'm launching this conference, Live Less Ordinary, trying to tell young adults that there are tons of things that you can be out doing that you think you can't do right now. Like be an entrepreneur, start a business, change the world, be an incredible Christian businessman that, you sell your product, you make tons of money, and you are funding missions work all over the world. Do those things. And so I've been telling kids that for years. And I don't even know where I was, what I was doing, but maybe I was driving. A lot of times when I'm driving is when I do my best thinking, or in the shower. That's also like prime thinking time. The whole hour I'm in there, like I take the longest showers. And that's what I'm saying. It's a good time. I was somewhere, and I really felt Colton God telling me, Dave, you've been telling these young adults that they could start a business. why don't you take your own advice? And in that same sort of token, I felt, if I'm telling everybody that they can do it, why don't I show them they can do it? And so that's part of where that, and I want to be a millionaire. So that's sort of where it came from. Where I can show people that this is possible, right? It can be done. You can do it. And so once I started with Clark Parker, I get calls from churches. I get calls from friends of mine. Bro, tell me how you did it. Tell me what I got to do this in Mississippi. Whatever. I need a side gig to help me make money for my ministry. Whatever. Easy way to make money, or can be an easy way to make money. So I wanted this opportunity to be able to show people that it's possible. You can go out and do it. Even you don't have to be a rich person. You don't have to have money to make this happen. You have to have some money. You don't have to have tons of money. You don't have to come from wealth. You can start something. Not only that you can start something, but that there's something awesome about you that people want. Like you have a product. There's something, a skill, a talent, ability, service, whatever, that you could offer people, make money. And it could be something that could fund something awesome. So one of the most exciting things for me as a businessman is not when I see dollars in the bank, to see dollars in the bank. It's when I take money out of the bank to give to somebody to go on a mission trip. So last year, there was a couple people that I knew doing different things, whatever, that I was able to give them money, and not small money, pretty decent money, to be able to go mission trip, to go Jerusalem, to go be or do something else that I couldn't have done before. And, even this weekend, I knew some kids that were going to the funeral, and money's tight for you guys. I get it. And it's the last minute thing. Do you need some money to go? I'll give you some money for you guys for hotel room time. I couldn't do that. You know how much I pay for my kids to go to school? I couldn't do that on my own salary. But because God helped me to build a business, a fairly decent business, God's helped me to do that, I can help other people with that. And so that's what's important to me about having my business, is not to have a business. That's cool. But what am I doing with what God has gifted me to do? And how can I use that to impact other people's lives? How can I do that to further the kingdom, right? I think about your dad. Your dad's got a great business. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not, right? It's up and down sometimes. I get it, right? But what is he able to do with his income from that business? He's sending his kids to a college where they're going to be trained for ministry and impact other people. I know your dad well enough to know that he's pretty generous. He is pretty generous. And so that he can empower and invest in other people. Now, not everybody can start a business and do that. Maybe you're full-time ministry. Maybe you got other responsibilities, whatever. Maybe that's not your niche, whatever. Maybe that's not your thing. But that's how I use it. And because I use it that way, man, it's not my ministry and my business. You guys might just see, okay, coffee cup coming across the thing, but what am I able to do on the other side? That's what's important to me, because I can help other people, and I do. I make it a point. There's to make money. When I look at my, you guys will probably never meet him, but my father-in-law is a millionaire, like a multi-millionaire, right? Brother Oliver knows him here. And he worked for this company. I think he started driving a forklift like years ago, right? Driving a forklift at this lumber yard. And then he's the vice president of the company. And then the company sells for millions of dollars. He trades his stocks in and whatever. And then he starts his own company. And then he sells his own company. And now he's a multi-millionaire. And dude still works and still making money. The most generous person I have ever met in my entire life. Hands down. Financially, he practically makes the church happen with his tithes and offering, right? Kids want to come to Bible college, money to go to Bible college. Kids want to go on a missions trip, peel off a couple hundred so they can go on a missions trip. That's what, that example is what, to me, what a Christian businessman should be. And, some give by going, some go by giving. Man, sure, that works, right? Some things won't happen if there's no dollars behind it. We need people to have dollars behind it. So that's how I look at it. It's a part of my ministry. So it's not one or the other, right? I don't separate them. I can do them because they're intertwined. So I hope that kind of got you where you want to go. Yeah, keep buying coffee, by the way. Shameless plug. Anybody else? Questions? Anything, man. Anything. Literally.
So you talked about like how you were praying or like go to work and you felt like God said you're gonna come back to Urgent
Right.
to teach. When you at the time, did you think that was like a you thought or like a God thought that He pressed on you?
Bro, that same moment, I was like, God, if this is true, I want to see an angel in the dome of the chapel right now. Confirm it and with signs following. I did not see an angel in the dome. I didn't think it was me. I really felt that it was God. It's hard to talk about yourself sometimes, like the good stuff about you. But like I'm pretty open. Like I'm pretty sensitive. I'm an emotional guy. You don't know it, but I really am. I was listening to Audible, Call of the Wild the other day, and I just cried at the end. If you've never read it, it's really sad when you get there. It really is. But I've always determined for myself that I want to do what God wants. And I know there's stuff that I want to do, and sometimes it gets in the way. But I've done that too many times where it has gotten in the way. For me, especially at this point, man, I'm not going if God's not. I just won't do it. I can't waste my time. So, and I think I sort of felt that way when I was younger too, and I recognized that this is God talking to me. And like I said, it wasn't what I thought it was. It was far different, and it has been this whole time. But I knew it was Him. Now, there's been other times where I got in the way. Other times. But at that moment, I really felt it was God, and I held on to that. And so when I heard back from Mark Blackburn when he called me, I wasn't surprised. Like I was excited because now my time had come. But it hadn't come like I thought it did. And so I think sometimes we shade what God tells us with our own paintbrush, and we feel like, this is the color it's going to be. Happy trees, little Bob Ross, anybody, So I felt confident. So does that answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to cognitively tell yourself, you have to be intentional about, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for God? You should be that way about your social media, by the way. When you're all the selfies, am I doing this for God or am I doing this to look cool? Just throwing that out there. Be careful how you testimonies and bragging there's a fine line. Just that was for free. Anyway, anybody else? Anything? Yes, ma'am. How did I meet Erica? Oh, what time is it? It is time to leave, guys. Thank you so much for coming. How did I meet my wife, Erica, who maybe 3 of you might know? I don't think very many of you probably have met her before. Maybe 2 or probably just 2 of you, to be honest with you. But how did I meet my wife? Well, let me put it this way, Sister Hoover. I met my sister-in-law first. Not only did she get us kicked out of school, sort of, that first trip, old April, but I was attracted to her first. She was cool. She was sophomore. She was a year ahead of us. She was a fab dresser for that period. Things had changed. But, so I was sort of attracted to her and tried that road, and it wasn't working out. And then, so we were close friends. Her and I were very close friends, me and April. And then, she's talking about Philip all the time. And I was like, oh, who's this Philip guy? And Philip's actually my favorite now. But I remember coming down the stairs. If you've ever been to the old school, we're coming down the stairs to the cafeteria. And there used to be a payphone right there, if you know what one of those is. And I was going to use the payphone or whatever. I was coming down. And I was coming down, going to the cafeteria. And the door swung open. And I think I just about ran into this girl. And Erica, my wife. And so we almost literally bumped into her. And that moment was like, what? It was like love bumped into me. Like it was a punch in the face, punch in the gut. I was like, who is this girl? We were freshmen together, but like you're freshmen, but you don't know everybody yet. There's some people you haven't even seen. Well, most of you haven't seen most people because of the masks, but you're still meeting people weeks later, months later. And that's kind of how it was. It was probably like a week or two in, and love punched me in the gut, just almost ran into her. So that was our first contact, and I was like, excuse me. But I was like I had no game. Like it was like zero. And it just didn't go really great. I was trying too hard. You ever tried too hard? I know you guys have tried too hard, right? Too hard. And the girls are just like, I don't think so. I don't think so. But then you stop bothering, and they're like, why is he avoiding me? Why won't he talk to me? It's a classic play, guys. Don't pay attention to them. Classic. And so anyway, we met, time went on. She thought I was weird because I was weird. And anyway, it progressed. I really wanted to date her. She didn't really care for me. She actually dated another guy. And at the old campus, if you flush the toilets, the shower water would turn really hot. So I'm not saying I did that to him a couple times on purpose, but I may have. Jealousy is just like the best. And so anyway, long story short, she later told me she didn't want to date me because she knew that if she did, she would marry me. And so she was like, I'm not ready for that yet. And so we dated on and off a little bit. We might have broke up a handful of times. And then here we are married. I think it's been 17 years now, 3 kids. But let me tell you about this story. The first time we kissed was after we were married. End of story. So, no, the first time we kissed was at there's the Crown Plaza Hotel. It's got a little TGI Fridays in it. We went to eat at TGI Fridays after church we were going to New Life maybe after church, whatever. That was like date night. Well, I say date night because you had to fill out a form to go on a date back when I was your age, and it had to get stamp of approval. You guys live in a much better world. And so we were there eating. We're done eating. They have like these fountains and stuff and like a big atrium. And so we were romantically walking around. We've been dating a number of months, and we were playing hard to get or whatever. She was running away, and I was running after her. And so she goes up gets in the elevator, and it's like a glass elevator that you can see inside. So she goes up the elevator, and she's waving at me, and she's just going far away. And I see what floor she gets off. I get on another elevator. I chase her up there, cat and mouse. And so we're on like the top floor. We get off the elevator. She's there waiting for me. And I'm a stud, so like I embrace her, one hand, pull her close, right? And just I come in for the hug, and the hug's over, right? And so I'm backing up, and the hug's over, and so she just pulls me closer and lays one on me, right? And I was so dumbfounded that I didn't kiss her back. Because it was totally unexpected, totally out of character, and I was like, "What?" And so she was like, well, he didn't get it. Let me try again. So she comes back in. She comes back in for number 2. And I was still in this state of shock that just dead lips, right? And so, nope, she backs up again. And she's like, listen, this is going to happen, right? So she comes in a third time, and after the third time with no response, she turns around, walks away, goes down the elevator, leaves me on the top floor. And I'm just standing there. And I'm like, what just happened? Right? And then it finally comes clear. And I'm like, bro, you just missed an opportunity. So like I get in the elevator, come back downstairs. And I don't think she talked to me the rest of the night. Like we went back home. We went back home. We parted ways. And yeah, it was like months after that before there was another attempt. And this time it was, I tried to initiate kissing her, and I can't even remember where that happened because the first time was so crazy. Like, why bother coming up with another story? So that's like the crazy deal. So that's a little bit of how we met, a little bit of first kiss. It is more fun when she tells it. I was at fault on that one, but you know, I've never been the romantic. But Caleb.
Do you feel like God can sometimes impress a calling on you just for you to work towards that standard, like live up to that standard, but it's not necessarily your exact calling. He's just wanting you to be
Right.
have these characteristics.
Right. So I do know some people that have, at a young age, felt like they were called to one thing, or even in school, felt like they were called to one thing, and then get out of school and realized a different call. Like their whole life was something very different, and were very successful, and there's a transition there. Now, I'm not sure if that's, whatever took place there, I only saw it from the outside. That's between them and God. I don't know. But one thing that probably, and I was hesitated to talk maybe a little bit about this tonight because I can probably make it confusing. But as a leader, I'm more interested in who you are than what you do. I would rather, it's more important for me to show you how to live than show you how to be a great market person or whatever. I'm more interested in the characteristics that are in your life. And what comes out of that is what you do anyway. So those things are much better. So I think sometimes God can lead you to that thing because you're a little stubborn about it, and that's what you want. And he gets you there, and you learn a lesson. This is what you wanted. I've told you 1,000 times this ain't it. But this is what you keep pushing on me. I'm going to let you have it. And you get there, and you know what, God, you're right. Let me take a hike. Let me. I think there's somebody in the Bible that was just very like that. I think a man, he got in the belly of the fish, and have you ever heard of that guy? I don't know. Whatever his name was, Samson maybe. I don't know. Well, I think that's possible. I can't. I don't know why God does some of the stuff he does, because I would do it differently, but he would do it right. Sometimes differently would be wrong, but maybe he might do that. He might lead you down a path so that you can develop some things along the way, only for that path to take a left and take you down another road. For me, my experience was that when I was in school, I had this vivid memory of this one time I was in the prayer room. I was a senior. God, what am I supposed to do? I really don't know what I'm called to. I felt like I always felt like I was going to be an evangelist, but at some point I realized you have to be a good preacher, and it just threw the whole thing out the window for me. So at the end, I was like, what am I supposed to do? And I never got a real answer. Well, I never once had thought about youth ministry, never once up to that point. And so God takes us took Erica to none of those places. North Carolina, to Lumberton, North Carolina. She was the music minister there. And so when we got married, she was already in ministry, so I went there. And so I supported her. So I played drums for her. Anything that she needed, I did, but I played for her groups and stuff. And while we were there, she did this youth choir. We spent a ton of time with those young people, and they absolutely loved us. They absolutely loved us. And that was, I never thought I was hip or cool and, could talk to young people. I thought I was a fuddy-duddy or whatever. And just never thought it was something I was interested in, but I really enjoyed being with them. And then we went to another place where a friend of ours, this is a tense story, another place where friends of ours were the youth pastors, and we were there doing something else. And the kids loved us more than they loved the youth pastors. Awkward. And so I'm gradually learning what God gifted me to do or be at that point in my ministry. And so then we transitioned to, we were like, we're going to go to this new place, do this new thing. Let's get our name out there. So we ended up at Harvest Tabernacle as youth pastors, and never once really had I considered that. But then when we got there and we were knee deep in ministry doing this thing, and just like I said before, you get down the end of the road, you turn around, you look back at how you got there, and it didn't feel right in the journey. But when you get to where you're going and you can turn around and look, everything starts to make sense. And really, God was preparing us, through being a music director family, through being a teacher at a Christian school, to getting us to be in youth ministry proper, and the impact we were able to have there, the things we were able to do there, and the things we've been able to do in what I still consider youth ministry even today. Well, I didn't end up where I thought I was going to end up, but God really showed me what I was capable of and what he had gifted me for all through that journey. So it's a little bit different maybe than your question, but I think it maybe speaks to the essence of which I think you're looking for there. So, my man.
So me and Reese want to know how you stopped comparing.
You and Reese. That's still okay. How did I stop comparing? So I can say this. I don't compare myself to anybody anymore. I realize I'm different, hands down, because it hurt so much to try, and it cost me so much time to try, and I was so sad, so depressed, so down, until you decide that I'm happy with who God made me. I don't have to be or do things to make other people happy. I really need to make God happy, and I probably should be happy too. And if you're not happy with you, you're not making other people happy either. Like that stuff rubs off. So I had to finally decide, and I think it was. I think it was probably when I was at Harvest, when I was a youth pastor, when Pastor Chris, my man David Dimmock, whoever wants to say it, however, they all say it different, but Colthop, same sort of scenario. So when I was there, Pastor Chris empowered me to be me, and it was okay. He wasn't like, you need to be like the last youth pastor, or even like you need to be like the really good youth pastor down the street. You're the person for this hour here. And he empowered us to be who we were and made space for us, made room for us, and didn't try to box us in or whatever. He allowed us to be us. He would always say, when I see Molina coming, I know that he's either going to cost me a lot of money or he's going to cause me a lot of trouble, but he gets the results we're looking for, so I'm going to give him what he wants. And so that empowerment from leadership to be me was critical. And Brother Norris did the same thing for me. He found what I was good at, and he gave me the opportunity to be those things. He didn't say, you know what, you really need to be a better speaker, or you know what, you're a really good sound man, but you should probably try to do this. he let me be me and told me that he was proud of me and empowered me to do those things. And so as people like that were in my life and made those investments, it changed how I felt about myself, because now I'm not mad at myself or down on myself because I'm not like John Ison and Luke Levine, right? I'm happy being me. And a big, it's about people. It was about people for me. My man Chuck Carr, who incredible mentor in my life. My man Robin Johnson, incredible mentor in my life. They, would put finger to my chest and be like, "We are proud of you. You are a dreamer. You're a visionary. We're proud of you. You don't have to be like everybody else." And because I had those people backing me up, it really changed my perception of who I was, and I became happy to be me. I didn't have to be like somebody else. I'm gonna depress everybody real quick though right now. Sometimes that means you're doing it alone. If you're not like everybody else, sometimes it means you have fewer friends, because maybe you're different or whatever. So I'm at General Conference this last week. Now, granted, not everybody was there, and some of my friends were gone. But because I'm not a pastor or an evangelist or mainstream ministry guy, I was sitting by myself voting. My man Mark Hadaball is one of my great friends. He sat with me for a little while, got a call, had to leave. So I would have been with somebody. But I looked out in the auditorium. I'm sitting all the way at the back. I'm looking at the auditorium, all these people. And I text my wife, and I said, I'm happy to be who I am. But being me also means, I think I said, you would be surprised the amount of people I know. Like, you throw out a name and I know this person. I know thousands of people, but I have only so many friends, like real friends. And some of that's because I chose to be happy with who I am instead of trying to fit a mold somewhere. And all the mold people go out to a thing, and I don't go with them because I don't fit it. And I'm okay, but I'm okay with that. And it took a long time. And I got hurt sometimes along the way. But you'll never be more happy than when you're yourself. Every time you're trying to chase being somebody or something else, you're using the wrong ruler. Your successes won't look like their successes. Your journey won't look like their journey. And when you realize that, it gives you the freedom to be who you are, and to fulfill the calling that God has given you as an individual. It's not easy. I think you have to have people in your life, and I think you have to be okay with making that decision that I might cut some things off somewhere else by doing this. But so it's a challenge. So that was my journey. You and Reese, I don't know. You guys might have a different journey. But I would surround yourself with people that inspire you to be you and who let you be you, and make that way. So like Robin Johnson's one of my absolute favorite people. He's a mentor in my life. He's the head of PPH over at headquarters. He was the vice president of Urshan for a long time, or Gateway for a long time, where he would make so many opportunities for me. Not so that I could be like somebody else, but so that I could realize the gifts that I had for my life. The very first writing job I ever had, he gave me. The very first writing paycheck, he gave me that opportunity because he liked who I was. People will like who you are. It may not be thousands of people, but I'd rather have 5 people that love me for who I am than like 1,000 people that love me because I have a title or the hippest clothes or the best Instagram or just whatever. So, Reese, did that answer your question, my man?
Yeah, it was also this question.
Okay, just checking. All right. Well, it's a good question. Thank you for asking. That is my answer, at least for my journey. Anybody else tonight? Anything? Why?
If you want to start a business, how would you know?
Well, that's an individual question. How would you know what to do? Well, first of all, if you're going to start a business, you probably want to do something that makes money. You don't want to have a business that doesn't make money. So you have to have a service or a product that people want. And different contexts require, there's different wants. So different areas need a different need. You don't want to sell umbrellas in the Mojave Desert, right? You don't. You want to sell sunscreen. You want to sell umbrellas in Seattle or something like that, or body armor, whatever. Because of all the riots. It was a joke. Anyway, so you have to have a product or service that people want. Like my question was for myself, like what do I have that I can monetize? What am I good at? So, I was kicking ideas around like tutoring business, because I know a lot of people in academia, and you don't make a lot of money in academia. People are always looking for side gigs. We could do like a tutoring thing. Or, I'm kicking around, we're working on a business right now in our project management class for a men's lifestyle brand. What do people want? What do I have? What am I capable of that could be a service to somebody? Maybe you mow a lawn really good, bro. Start a lawn care business, right? Maybe you make hair clips really good. Start a hair clip business, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe you can put epoxy on a floor really good. Start an epoxy business. Like, what are you good at? What do you have the ability to do? What can you monetize? And what do people want? So for me, it wasn't what I was good at. It was, what do I think people want? And then I figured out how to be good at it. So that's another way around. And it just depends. Things come and go. What's in, what's out. Right now, you don't want to be into fidget spinners because they're out. But for a while, it was lucrative. So you have to have some of that stability. Did that help you out a little bit? Oh, man. Anybody else?
This is Zion.
Zion, no way!
What's up?
What's going on?
One thing that I've always struggled with, wanting to be in full-time ministry and pastoring a church one day, is the struggle between serving, like, that you don't want to have two masters, God and money. And like the balance of, you want nice things, but how do you not feel, I don't know the word, maybe guilty for having nice things because it might be prideful or vanity.
Right. So I think I'm going to try to boil Zion's question down if you didn't hear it. He's asking, how do you feel okay about having nice things as a businessman or full-time pastor? What's the dichotomy between, maybe vanity or maybe, being okay? Is it okay to have? It's absolutely okay to have nice things. Like, it's okay. Where anything becomes a problem is when you do something like in excess and you're doing too much of one thing and not doing enough of another thing. So like Zion, if you had 13 Teslas in the driveway, right, but you didn't pay your tithes, that's probably a problem. I can actually almost guarantee you, if you're a Christian and you don't pay your tithes, you're not going to come up with 13 Teslas. If you can't manage your money for God, you probably won't manage it very far. But the people that make the biggest investments in the kingdom, God rewards that. God rewards that. My father-in-law, I can't think of anybody that has more money, somebody that I know, and whatever, he pays his tithes, right? He is a very generous man. If you were to look at him, you would think he's mentally handicapped. Am I wrong?
No.
I am not wrong, right? You'd think he was, right? He starches his jeans, right? He wears jeans all the time, starches jeans, starches his flannels, and always wears jeans and flannel for the most part, right? And just if you were to look at him, Goofy from Disney doesn't have anything on him, right? But my dude is a multi-millionaire, okay? And if he wanted a Tesla, he could go get 3 or 4 of them whenever. He drives nice cars. He's got a BMW right now. He's had Saabs. This is his second BMW, I think, right? Lives in a wonderful home. And he came and he showed up at our house one time. He lives in Texas, flew in under the cover of darkness. I don't even know why he was there. I was sort of confused. And so he rolls in and is like, I'm like, what are you even here for? Like, he's staying at our house. He's like, oh, I just miss you guys and want to see you. I was like, okay. So he's there and he's like, hey, can I borrow your car tomorrow? I'm like, why? I got someplace to go. Well, he went and bought us a minivan, and he went and bought my sister-in-law a minivan the same day. He bought 2 minivans. He can do that. He can do that because he invests in the kingdom, and God is rewarding, right? And he's good, and he's smart with his money. He's not just blowing it around. He can have whatever nice thing he wants, right? And that's okay because he has the money to do that. But if he wanted every nice thing he wanted at the expense of investing in the kingdom, then I think it's bad, right? So if you're a full-time pastor and you make good money, first of all, pastoring is not easy, right? And Zion asked the question, and if you know the journey that his family's had at church when they first got there, it's hard. Pastoring is not easy. It's a challenge. They don't get whatever they get paid. They don't get paid enough, right? You couldn't pay me enough to take that job, right? They deserve what they make. They deserve what they make because of the ministry that takes place and the time, the effort, all that sort of stuff. Like you think about a CEO of a major company. It's similar but different, right? So it's okay to have money. How you use that money is important. If you're going to buy a BMW, but you'd pass somebody up at church that you know is struggling and their car won't even start and they can't get around, then I think there's a problem. But you have to be able to balance having nice things with being generous, right? Those things go hand in hand, and I think it can be difficult, but it can be really easy when it's not about you; it's about other people. There's nothing wrong with having good taste, though. You know what I'm saying? And it's smarter. It's just a heads up. Buy once, cry once. Buy something that's quality; it'll last you longer. Buy something that's cheap. You're going to buy 5 or 6 of them in the meantime, and you'll be out a lot more money. That's just a little thing. I hope that helps, Zion, hit you where you were at. Somebody else, anything, literally anything. Yeah, Jared, thank you.
You can do it. Wes, I was going to ask what you think your biggest accomplishment is.
Oof. Biggest accomplishment, okay? Probably, I don't know if this is the answer that you would expect. My biggest accomplishment is being a dad. Not the process, but biggest accomplishment being a dad. I started the class out by telling you a little bit about my life. The biggest accomplishment for me is I'm the product of an affair. Never had a dad in my life, and my biggest accomplishment is raising my 2 boys. That would be it. Nothing more important. Nothing could bring me more joy. So, what do you want, Jared?
My question is stupid.
Yeah, that's okay. I can switch gears. I can switch gears. This will probably be I can take one more, and then I know you guys got to transition.
So, you said that you had some things you wish you would have done as far as like academics go.
kind of find myself in a place where I know, but I don't. And that's a weird way to say it, but like, there's things I'm interested in, but they're kind of scatterbrained, they're just kind of out there, and I don't really know what direct path I'm going to take. So as far as you were saying, you know, that you were kind of in some sort of academic situation.
Right.
So if you're gonna go back in time and do everything that you would, like, if you're gonna go back in time, what would you do? What would, as far as
Education, if I was to go back first, if I was to go back in time and change something about my education, it would have been to get out of bed that last absence in evangelistic preaching that failed me that class. I would have gotten up and went to class. And then two, it would have been getting up and getting out of bed the day that it snowed on the final, and I didn't think Brother Reaver would come in to give the final, but he faxed it in, and I didn't show up for the final, and I failed that class. So that would be the two to start with. But then, what would I have if I were to go back and do it? Like, I did a couple different things, Jared. So like I came to Gateway and I was doing ministry as far as my focus, my subject matter. And then when I left here, I went to community college. And because at that time we were unaccredited, I knew I wanted to do something else. So I started doing some gen ed stuff or whatever. And community college is a lot different. You don't even have to show up and you can get an A, which I did. So I did that for a little bit. And then when we moved one time and we were doing ministry, I went back to school, Missouri Baptist, and I was going to school for their leadership degree because I could transfer the most of my credits into that degree. And that just seemed like it made sense. Probably not the best idea, but it worked. And so I didn't even finish that. And then we moved again. When we ended up Harvest, after we resigned as youth pastors, that next year we were still living there. I went to community college there to get my associates in teaching so that I could be a teacher. And that could be one of the things I struggled with when we were at Harvest was I wasn't a full-time youth pastor. I was a part-time youth pastor. And I didn't really have, I was lazy, about getting a job. And that was me. That was a problem. And then when I finally did, I was building cabinets for a while. That didn't last long. They went out of business. And then I was in the rock and roll industry for a long time. But you don't need a degree to be in the rock and roll industry. You just need to be able to sell a guitar. So when I was there, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something with my time. Since we're not youth pastor anymore, I'm going to go back to school and be a teacher. And so I took those classes. And they didn't amount to anything. I was just like throwing what would stick, what seems like something that I would like. So I've always had, like I've talked about tonight, I've always had trouble just pinpointing, where my future was going or whatever. And so that made it difficult. And by the time I found the thing that I was really passionate about, youth ministry, I tried to get into this youth ministry program at Indiana Wesleyan, which is just above Indianapolis there. And I applied, I was going to get in, and then I couldn't get in because it was a online-ish program, and I was out of state, and they didn't have state authorization with the state of Missouri or whatever, which is something we've experienced here in the past. But so I couldn't get in. So they were like, you have to try again next year. And so I went to Liberty University instead for human services with a concentration on executive leadership. Because leadership seemed important. My wife was like, you know what, you need to probably get a degree that will make you some money before you get this other thing that you want to do. Wives will do that, from time to time. So it was all over the place. If I was to go back and do something different, I would have prioritized my education in general, period. And I would have done my best to be the best student I could be, because I would have been more in tune to what academics could do for me in the future. And it would have opened more doors for me. If I'd have finished my degree, I could have went a whole lot more places and got a whole lot more opportunities. It's a little bit different now that we're accredited, But that became a challenge. So I really wish I would have got that youth ministry degree, like part of me, because then I could teach some cool ministry classes. But I never would have. I was a big player in the transition from Gateway to Urshan. I was on this transition committee, and not only was I on the committee, but I helped form some of the degree programs. I worked with Brother O'Daniel to form the organizational leadership program. I never would have been able to do that if I hadn't had the experience I had with my degree. And then when we were Urshan and we were transitioning to adding new programs, I was a big influence in the human services degree that we started in shaping that because of my degree, because of my experience there. And it opened up doors for me later on. But as a teacher, man, you got to know what you want to teach, bro. There are so many degrees out there that'll help you do whatever you want to do, or be whatever you want to be. A leadership degree will get you in a lot of doors. A business degree will get you in a lot of different doors. But if you want to be a teacher, if you want to teach history, you got to go to school to learn about history. If you want to teach, math, probably don't go to youth ministry school. I don't know. I don't think any of that helped you. Oh, well, thank you. That maybe works out in the end. I appreciate it. But there's plenty I would change. I say that, but I don't know. Because if I changed it, how would that have changed my trajectory? So I don't even know. If I had done something different, I wouldn't have been standing here, right? That might be a good thing. I don't know. Maybe you guys are eager to get rid of me, but there are things that I did that I probably would change. But everything shapes you. And when you get to this point and look back, yeah, maybe you made some mistakes. Yeah, maybe there's some sin. Maybe there's guilt that you're dealing with. And you don't ever want to do those things on purpose. But take the lessons you learned. Some things will take you to school. And they'll help form who you become. So that it's opened a lot of doors for me. I am teaching marketing and project management rather than teaching, foundations of youth ministry or something life-changing. But I don't know that I would have got where I'm at otherwise. So I don't know that I would change it, but you want to make conscious decisions. The biggest thing for me, how life mission, like we talked about, what is my life mission and what are my values? If you learn those things early on, then that is the filter that you make every decision through. And you say, will this bring me closer to where these things, or will this take me further away from these things? I never had that. I was just shooting from the hip. What will stick? What will make money, Zion? What will, all those sort of things. And I didn't have that. I didn't have a good filter. And I think that's what's important for you. If you have a good filter, those things will fall into place a lot easier than if you don't. If you don't have a filter, you're just guessing, man. And you can't be intentional about it. So unless there's another good one, anybody, now's your chance right here.
So at the beginning, you said something about investing in people's dreams.
Yes, sir.
How would you go about investing in somebody's dream that they're already trying to give up? They feel like that nothing's going to work for them.
And sometimes it just won't. Sometimes they don't have a good dream. Now that I say that, and I don't know any of the situation, but what I'm saying is sometimes, just like we talked about earlier, sometimes people have their dream in front of God's dream. And so you have to be honest with people if it's their dream instead of God's dream. I think you need to help people realize that. Not that you can't have your own dreams, but if you're putting your dream in front of one of God's dreams, that's an issue. Okay. So if you can establish, I'm in harmony with you on this. I really feel like God's called you to it. I really feel like this is a dream from God for you. And that's the dream they're trying to jump out on. I think you need to, if you are a friend, if you are a real friend, if you love this person, you need to push them in that direction. And sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes maybe you have to get maybe pastor involved, maybe a leader involved or whatever to help them support that. Or even just help them figure out where they went wrong, why it's not working out. Well, if you dream of being a missionary, you never took the time to get your passport, and it's not working out. Well, there's a reason it's not working out. You got to go get your little book and pay for it, whatever. Or you got a dream, but that dream costs money, but you're downstairs buying coffees all the time, and you ain't got no money to see through what God's got for you. Then that's a problem. Even though I want your money, then that's a problem. So, like, are there any things that they're tripping over that are causing them? Like, help them look at that, right? But if it's like, I'm just, you just tried and failed, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to come true. You either need to do a gut check and talk to God and see if this is really the thing that you're supposed to do. And if he says yes, you get back on the horse. They had to go around the wall 7 times and then another 7 times before the thing ever came down. So, or 6 times and then another 7 times. I got to do the math. But so sometimes it takes work. I mean, you can look at the life of Abraham Lincoln and how many times my man tried for a political position, failed, and the presidency, and he makes it. And we all know Abraham Lincoln, right? So I would tell that person, if somebody that's struggling with this dream's dying, it's not working out, I'm not going to take it, man, gut check. Is it your dream or is it God's dream? Are you putting your dream in front of God's dream? Gut check. What are you doing? What are the filters that you're using in your life to see this dream fulfilled? Are they the right filters? Do you have the right values? Do you have the right life mission? Are you looking at those things? And then if you're in concert with them and you really feel like this is a God thing, but it's just not working out, you need to be an absolute support to that person. Or if it is you need to surround yourself with people that inspire you. You need to surround yourself with people that are go-getters. Surround yourself with people that believe in you and that will motivate you. If you're just over in a corner and you're like, my dream is dead and I do this, people come over to you and they're like, man, how can we help? You're like, I don't need any help. I'm cool. Nothing's wrong. Man, bring people into your circle that believe in you, that inspire you. If you want to go somewhere and you surround yourself with deadbeats, you're not going to get very far. Okay? If you're doing a tough thing and it's something that requires support, but you're not willing for people to support you, you're not going to go very far. So make sure you have that support system in place if that person is you. And don't give up. Like Dr. Norris said, the dreams that God gives you never die. Never die. Lord, thank you for these wonderful young men and women today. Thank you for the opportunity to be in your presence. I pray that you would, God, that something we talked about today would be impactful and would be not just something we hear, but God, something that finds its way into our hearts and into our minds to help lift us up and bring us to where you would want us to be. I pray, give us influence, Lord, in the circles that we're a part of. I pray, God, that we would see the miraculous hand of God at work in our lives and through us. Lord, I pray that your hand would be all over us and your heart would be in us. I pray, minister through each one of these young people. Help them find, God, for sure, what calling is and what mission is for them. And I pray, help them to shape their values. Lord, we're so thankful for the opportunity to serve your kingdom. There is no better place than in service of the King. And I pray, God, that you'd minister to us. Remind us how much you love us tonight and remind us that you are for us. We love you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, guys.
Going back at 8:35.
Thank you again for having me. I hope it was worthwhile.